Hi, my name is Annika. I'm a librarian for Fresno County Public Library, and I'm here to welcome you to our Digital Summer at Your Library program. We want to take this time to remind everyone to visit our summer webpage at fresnolibrary.org/summer. You can find more information there on all the fun stuff offered, including take and make crafts for teens, fun digital programs for kids, teens, and adults, and even a reading program for all ages where you can win prizes. So swing by fresnolibrary.org/summer for all the information and enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Lydia, and welcome to the third video in the Bellydance workout. I've been part of the Fresno Bellydance community as a performer and instructor, choreographer, and show director for more than 20 years, and I'm really excited to be working with the Fresno County Library on this workout series. Middle Eastern dance is a beautiful and expressive art form. It evolved out of the folk dances from the Arabic-speaking parts of the world, and includes also influences from Greek and Turkish dances, and it's evolved into this wonderful form that we're familiar with today. The term belly dance is a little bit of a slang term, and perhaps an inaccurate term, because we are dancing with more than our belly. We're using our arms, our legs, our hips, our shoulders, our head, everything. And so that's why it is such a great workout. Now, because this is a workout rather than a technique class, I don't break the steps down in great detail, partly because I can't see you and I can't make corrections. So it's not the same as it would be if I was doing a weekly technique class where we would just concentrate on a few movements at a time. So for this is more about the general feel of the movements as well as working the muscles that generate them, and just having fun and feeling expressive. If you need to modify, that's fine. You can slow a movement down, or you can pull back and just do the step touch home step that I'll be demonstrating in the footwork section. But just listen to your body and do what's right for you. My intention is that you just keep moving and enjoy yourself dancing to this beautiful music and feeling strong and beautiful. So this wonderful music that we get to dance to, I'm so excited to be able to share with you. This is music that inspired me at the beginning of my belly dance career all those years ago. Wonderful music made by my friends Solace in Southern California, Jim Karagosian from right here in Fresno, and Hot Rocks out in Clovis. So I really hope you enjoy dancing to it as much as I do. Before we get started, I want to show you what props and equipment you'll need for the class today. First of all, you'll need some space to dance in. It doesn't have to be really big. My home dance space here is about 8 feet by 5 feet, so something like that would be good. Just make sure there's no obstacles or anything that you might run into. You also don't want to be right underneath a ceiling fan, because we are going to be using a veil for part of it, and you don't want to get tangled up. So just, if you have to be underneath one, then just have it be off. So speaking of veils, we are going to be doing a veil section, and if you have a standard belly dance veil, either rectangular like this one or a half circle, which actually is what I'm going to be using because my space is kind of small, that's great if you have an actual belly dance veil. They're lightweight and easy to work with. If you don't have one, you can substitute with something like a scarf that is lightweight. Anything that is wide enough that you can have your arms about that far apart. So you could use that. You could even, in a pinch, use a curtain shear, something like that, just as long as it's not so wide that you will trip on it. But something lightweight like that can be used as well. For the floor work section, you're going to want to have a yoga mat. If you don't have one, you can use a towel, like a beach towel, to cushion your spine. If you are not able to get to the floor easily for the floor work section, I have shown some modifications that you can use a chair with. So this is just my kitchen chair, so nothing fancy. It doesn't have wheels and it's not a swivel chair, so you just want to make sure that you just have a standard sturdy chair. All right, let's start dancing.
Let's check in with our posture. Have your weight centered over your feet. And a good way to check that is to just pick your toes up, and that will force your weight to be in the middle of your foot. And then you can put your toes back down and soften your knees. You're going to want to have your tailbone reaching towards the floor, almost as if there's a little weight attached to it. This is going to open up your lower back and relax it. Then we will roll our shoulders around and down and back, and feel those shoulder blades dropping down into the back pocket of your jeans. And then we'll zip our jeans up in front and engage our abdominals. And this is going to be a continuous zipping up process. It's not a one and done thing. And then your chest will lift towards the ceiling with the string traveling diagonally. And then there's also a string coming out the top of your head and reaching for the ceiling, straight up into the sky, lengthening your spine. Your head is balanced over your rib cage, which is balanced over your pelvis, which is balanced over your feet. Everything on the back is traveling down, and everything on the front is traveling up. And your weight is centered over both your feet, and this circle of going up and going down travels around your body. Let's go over the basic footwork for our workout today. We're going to start with our home step, which is a step touch. So I'm transferring weight to one foot and touching with the unweighted foot. I'm not stepping out super far, keeping it kind of underneath my hips, but I'm stepping and touching. And this is the basis for movements like hip twist, where the hip twists forward and up, and the standing leg softens to accommodate the movement. So step and touch and step and touch. We'll also be doing a side to side. So I'm going to step out and close and out and touch. Side, close, side, touch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this can be layered with a hip circle and a half, traveling that side to side, layered on top of the footwork. We'll also use a double side to side, and this is the same thing, just in 8 counts instead of 4. And then it touches to change direction. And side, close, side, touch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, touch. This is layered with hip locks, and also if you angle it, the traveling undulation. So same footwork, just a slightly different angle. The different footwork you just saw there is a 2-step, and so it's just one foot in front of the other, kind of like a ballet third position, and the weight commits to the front foot and then shifts to the back foot. And this is used a lot with undulations, whether traveling or even in place, just to get a little extra movement. Make sure you return back to your neutral posture whenever you are through with the body wave movement. We'll also be using a forward and back step. So one foot takes weight and travels forward and back, and the other one stays in place and marks the spot. So it travels forward and back, and 1, 2, 3, 4, forward and back and it can be layered with hip locks among other things, and it can be done flat-footed or on releve. And finally, we will be using an arabesque pose, and this is where the front foot commits to the weight and that leaves the back leg free to extend, and then the opposite arm also extends to create a nice long line from fingertip to toe tip. And we will be using this position in our veil flow. Taking a wider stance, inhale and raise your arms overhead. And exhale, round your back, pull your arms back. And again, coming up, deep inhale, and round down, exhale, and roll up and inhale again, and roll down, pull the arms back, and roll up through your spine. Some shoulder rolls back, feel your chest opening, change directions, roll the shoulders forward, feel the upper back opening. And now a demi-plie, and raise one heel up off the floor. Reach up and over towards that side, turning your face towards that raised heel. Open out, following your hand with your face. Switch sides, other heel up. Reach up and over, leaning towards that side. Opening out, follow your hand with your face. And coming up, we're going to point our toes forward now and sink into one side. Nice lunge stretch going through plie to the other side, stretching those inner thighs. And centering and plie, and rolling up through the spine. Now bend and point your foot, and then rotate your ankle, warming up those feet. Bend and point, and then rotate your ankle, and finish. Taking your veil or scarf and holding it open with your arms at about a 90-degree angle, put it behind you. And we're going to softly lower it behind us, keeping a little bit of tension on the top edge. Feel your chest opening and the muscles of your upper back working. And now walking in a circle, letting the veil float out behind you. We're going to do the same up and down movement behind our back, keeping the chest lifted and open, working those muscles between the shoulder blades, floating around in a circle. Now bringing the veil in front of us, we're going to do around the world, taking it to the side, to the back, to the side, and to the front. Connecting it all in a circle around your body, letting your sides open up and feel a stretch. And switch directions, going the other way, going to the side, to the back, to the front, and around the world you go. And now put your hand on your opposite shoulder and extend your arm. Unwind and do it on the other side. Hand on shoulder, extend your arm. This is called the tornado. And we're going to bring it around and unwind and bring it around. So now we're going to do it with big swoopy circles, the same movement, but just catching a lot of air in your veil. Let your hands follow each other, making that tornado effect. So your hands on your shoulder, extend your arm, and around you go, back and forth. Really feel that stretch, and don't forget to breathe. Now put it behind you. We're going to walk in a circle again, bringing the veil up and down behind our back, letting the air float in it, keeping that chest lifted and open, and working the muscles around our shoulder blades. And we're going to do a few more tornadoes, hand on shoulder, and extend the opposite arm, and around in huge swoopy circles, letting that fabric flow. And back and forth, and big tornadoes. And now around the world, alternating directions, just one each way. Really feel that stretch through your body. Tracing circles around and around. And finish. Let's start with some hip locks. Bringing those hips up into your waist with the oblique muscles. Make sure your tailbone is pointed down and your abdominals are zipped up, keeping those knees soft. We can pick up the tempo, move a little quicker, or you can stay at the same tempo. Now we will add some levels. We're going to bend our knees and go down as low as we can comfortably, keeping the chest lifted and the tailbone pointed down. We're going straight down. Don't let your butt stick out behind you. And now we're going to do some chest circles, starting with some squares. We're going to go side, up, side, and back down to level where we started. And now we'll come around in a circle, smoothing out that diamond shape, bringing it around using those muscles between our shoulder blades. And other direction, we're going to be going to the side and up, inside, back down to neutral. Smooth it out inside that diamond shape, around, lifting from underneath the shoulder blades. And now we're going to do two each direction. Keep that tailbone pointed down while you're working your upper body. Now some crescents going side and side, lifting up at the edges. You're sliding through neutral. I'm not dropping down below. So some horizontal hip circles, going around each direction, warming up the hips. But now we're going to stay centered. We're going to do a tilted hip circle. So lifting side, center, side, and then opening. Contracting on one side, contracting in the middle, contracting the side, and then releasing. Creating a diamond shape. And now we'll connect that into a rolling circle. This is a bit like rolling a marble around in a bowl. So we're staying with our hips right over our feet, just rolling through the abdominals. The contraction goes from one side to center to the other side. So now other way, side, center, side, and open. Diagonal, horizontal, diagonal, horizontal. And smooth it out. Roll that marble around in that bowl, really running the contraction across your abdominals, letting the knees soften as needed. So to each direction, switching back and forth. Now let's review our hip lift. We have our weight on one side and the unweighted side is traveling up and the weighted side hip is going down. One foot is on releve, that's on the working side. But now we're going to do it as a hip drop. So same exact movement, but on the beat going down, like you're hammering a nail on the beat, hammer on your hip. So you're going to be contracting your glute on your standing side to get a nice sharp downward movement on your working side. Your standing leg is bending to accommodate the movement. We are not bobbing up and down, changing our height. Drop, and switch sides, drop, 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 switch sides. Feel that oblique opening up on the working side and the glute contracting on the standing side. Now we're going to do a circle on the side. So it's a similar movement. We're lifting up and back and then dropping down, drawing a circle in the air with our hip. Coming around, drop down, around and drop down. So it's a vertical circle on the side of our hip. Around, drop down, around, drop down. Use that glute on the standing side to help drop it down nice and solid. chest lifted and the tailbone down. So let's add in some horseshoes going forward and back, and then some circle on the side. Bringing it forward and back nice and solid. You're hammering nails with a hammer on your hip. And forward and back, and circle on the side, really working through those oblique muscles. And circles, and coming around, and forward, back, and circles on the side. And on the other side, forward and back, and draw those circles. And now some locks, raising our arms, and center. Keeping that chest lifted and the abs pulled up in front. Now we're going to do some shoulder locks and shimmies. Using your pectoral muscles, contracting alternately, and sliding your scapula along your rib cage. I am not moving my whole rib cage. I'm just bringing my shoulders and scapula forward and back. And now let's pick up the tempo a little bit, alternating contractions in your pectoral muscles, moving back and forth. Let's do it with a level as well. Bend your knees and lower yourself closer to the floor, and then press back up into the floor. Let's review our undulations. We're going to be lifting, tilting back, and rolling our spine down the wall behind us. Our feet are in two-step position. We're lifting and rolling down. Make sure that as you lift, you are pulling slightly forward so you have some place to go when you tilt back. Roll down and drop that tailbone down at the bottom. Now we're doing twisty shimmies. This is a bit like a washing machine agitator. You are twisting through the waist, and each hip moves forward alternately. Nice and sharp. We are not moving our rib cage along with this, although some movement may occur, but we're moving through the waist. Let's double the tempo. Going forward, 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 alternating your hips. It's really going to get the fringe on your belt moving. Keep that upper body as still as you can. So now we're shifting our weight side to side, keeping that washing machine agitator going. So our weight's going to transfer from one leg to the other. Stand up tall and don't forget to breathe. And now a big hip circle and a half around to where you started, and then adding a half circle in and adding our side to side foot pattern. We're going step together and step touch. Circling around, let's speed it up. You can keep going the slower tempo if you need to, but let's try double time. Of course, making the movements a little bit smaller since you have less time to do them in. Step together, step touch, step together, step touch. Let's review our figure eights. This is our reverse figure eight that goes up, out, and down. Really pulling up in your obliques and then pressing down and out. Raising the arms, keeping yourself flat like you're a piece of bread in a toaster. Don't let yourself twist. Really feeling those obliques and abs working. Changing direction, let's do our scoop figure eight. So we're going to be going down, out, and pulling in. Down, out, pulling in. So your oblique will open first, and then it will contract in. And let's layer that with our snake arms. Shifting your weight and pulling out, up, and in. Keeping that tailbone down. And now our step twist, twisting the hip up and forward as you do a step touch. Keeping the chest lifted, we are twisting through the waist. Raise your arms up to shoulder level and pick up the tempo. And twist, and twist, and twist. Let's travel it forward and back. Keeping the chest lifted, keeping the knees soft so that the standing leg can accommodate the hip that is traveling down. And finish. Let's start with scoop figure eights. Pushing your hip down, out, and in, pulling in with that oblique muscle, keeping your tailbone pulled down and your abdominals zipped up in front. Bringing the arms down. And now moving into some tilted hip circles. Feel that contraction roll across your abdominal muscles and back the other way, tilting from one side to the other, rolling that marble around in a bowl. Now 3 undulations. Lift, tilt back and roll down and drop that tailbone, and then a chest circle to change sides. Lift and roll down. Our feet are in a 2-step position. And chest circle to change sides. Lift, tilt, roll down. Lift, tilt, roll down. Keeping that tailbone down at the end. And chest circle, turn around. And undulating up and down. Feeling that roll through the spine. Now traveling to the side with some hip locks and a double side to side. And step touch and go the other way. Lock, 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 lock to the side, bringing those hips up into your waist. And touch. And shoulder shimmies, traveling back to center. And let's do a level here, softening your knees, going as low as you can comfortably. Horseshoes forward and back, and then a circle on the side with the hip. Horseshoes on the other side, going forward and back, nice solid drop using that oblique muscle, and then a vertical circle with the hip. And dropping forward and back, and forward and back, and circle around and drop, circle around and drop. And other side, forward and back, and forward and back, and circle on the side. And now some hip locks with the forward and back foot pattern. Nice and sharp. And then a tilted hip circle. And then the other side, forward and back hip locks. And a tilted hip circle the other way. Let's do that again, forward and back. Keeping the hip locks nice and sharp. And a tilted hip circle. And now some hip drops. Drop, drop, drop. Keep it nice and solid like you're hammering a nail with a hammer on your hip. Drop, 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 and drop, drop, drop. Nice and tall. Drop, 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 double drop, 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 double drop. Make sure that your standing leg is soft to accommodate the hip movement. You don't want to be changing height, except for maybe on this double drop. And now some tilted hip circles, nice and slow, feeling that contraction travel from one oblique to the other across the front of your abdominals. And then the other way, bringing your arms down. Let's go back to that forward and back locks. Try doing double hits on the hip locks. And then tilted hip circle to change sides, and forward and back, either single or double locks. Keeping the arms up and then moving the hips in a circle. Forward and back. And moving in a circle, tilted hips, forward and back. Keeping those arms up. And the chest lifted. And now our step twists with a step touch, twisting that hip forward and up, twisting through the waist and close. Let's start with some hip locks. Keep the knees soft and contract on each side, bringing the hip up into your waist, keeping the chest lifted and the tailbone pointed down towards the floor. Nice and sharp. And now chest circles, and then chest crescents, sliding and lifting to the sides. Other direction, around twice, and slide and lift, and slide and lift. And now some twisties. Get that washing machine agitator going, twisting through the waist, locking those hips forward. Double the time, or you can stay at the other tempo. Just keep moving through the waist and your chest lifted. Now we will shift our weight from side to side, moving through a plie, keeping the chest lifted, and moving through the waist, bringing those hips forward. Now an undulation and a tilted hip circle at the bottom. Roll down and circle around. Lift and roll down, circle around twice. Lift, roll down, and circle around. And now a super slow reverse figure 8, really pushing that hip up, out, and down. Feeling those muscles on the sides of your waist working. Keep that tailbone pointed down. Now a circle and a half, traveling side to side with a step together foot pattern, keeping the circle level, and your chest lifted and your tailbone pointed down as you go across the back. Try doubling the time. This will be a smaller movement because we have less time to move in. Or you can keep going at the original tempo. Stepping side, together, side, and touch, and then switching sides. Chest circles, and then chest crescents with a level. Bringing it around twice, and then sliding side, bending your knees, going as low as you can comfortably. Changing directions, chest circles, and then crescents with a level. Keep lifted and keep that tailbone pointed down and your abdominals zipped up. And now a slow reverse figure 8, reaching up for the ceiling, feeling long through your spine and very flat as you move up, out, and down with your hips. And now some nice solid hip drops, change sides, using the opposite side glute to really lock it down. Almost like you're hitting a drum with your hip. And drop, and drop, and drop, and switch. You can add a little undulation as you arrive from your switch, dropping your tailbone down at the end. And drop, switch, and let's get some locks going, double hits. 2 on each side as you take weight. You can go at the original tempo or speed it up. Just follow the music and do what it tells you. And now some slow scoops, figure 8 scoops, and an undulation, some more scoops. Being expressive with the music, rolling through your body, feeling those oblique muscles working. And now some locks, single locks with a level, lowering yourself towards the floor, keeping that tailbone pointed down, and a chest circle to change sides. Keep those hip locks nice and sharp even though you are softening your knees and traveling down towards the floor. Press your feet into the floor to come back up. And one more set, going down and coming back up and nice and tall. Double hits side to side, transferring that weight, keeping the knees soft. And now some twisties, twisting the hips forward, alternating sides, moving through the waist, and shifting your weight side to side, keeping that twisting movement going like the washing machine agitator. See the fringe on your belt shifting back and forth with your hips. And now hip drops, nice and solid, switch sides. Keep your standing leg soft so that your hip can move. And a nice sharp lock with the glute on the standing side, opening up the oblique on the working side. And now our step twist, step touch foot position, twisting that hip forward and up, working through the waist, keeping that chest lifted nice and proud, and the arms open overhead, traveling forward and back, twisting through the waist, and don't forget to breathe. Step and twist, and step and twist. Hip drops, nice and solid. Feel that glute working on the standing leg and the oblique working on the moving side. Nice and solid. Drop and drop and drop. And some locks to the side, raising the arms up to the sky, pressing them down as your hips are locking up into your waist. Coming around, slowing down, feeling the energy dropping, and finish. It's shimmy challenge time. Keep those hips moving, little locks moving up into your waist. Keep those knees soft. Bring up the tempo. Your heels can come up off the floor if they need to. Keep your chest lifted. Keep your tailbone pointed to the floor. Pull those abdominals up, zipping up those jeans in the front. Play with all the different shimmies that you know. Try some shoulder shimmies. Do some twisties. Shift your weight as you shimmy. Have fun, play with the music. Don't forget to breathe. Standing up tall, keeping your weight centered over your feet. Keep those legs soft to accommodate that hip movement. Feel that beat and move those hips. Keep them going. Don't forget to breathe. We need to breathe. Feel the music, feel the beat in your body. Standing up tall and proud. Shake those hips, using those oblique muscles and your glutes, and your back, and your arms, and your whole body. Taking a deep breath, let's raise our arms overhead, nice and tall. And now sink into one hip and tilt towards it, opening up the side of your body. Come up to center. Same thing to the other side. Sink into your hip and lean towards it and opening up the opposite side. Come up tall. Now staying tall, we will now tilt to the side and then round around, stretching out our back to the other side. Come up through that plane, up to center, reach up. Same thing, back the way you came, tilt side, round around, a nice stretch through your back, up through the side and to center. And pull your arms down with lots of energy. Roll your shoulders back, opening up the chest. Big circles, changing direction, rolling your shoulders forward, opening up your upper back, and going into a lunge stretch, pressing that back heel into the floor. Your weight is centered. Reach up and back, clasp your fingers behind you, and pull, opening that chest up. Bend that back knee for an extra stretch in your Achilles, and then coming up, pull your front toes up and reach for them, stretching your hamstring out. Coming up and switching sides. Leg back, pressing that heel into the floor. Reach up, bend back. Clasp your hands behind and pull, opening up your chest. Bend that back knee for an extra stretch. And then shifting your weight back and the front toes come up and reach for them, stretching your hamstring out. Roll up through the spine, plie center, shift your weight to the side, through plie to the other side, stretching out your inner thighs. Roll up through the spine, sink out into one hip, and then into the other. Raise your arms up in a big circle, and float them down, and finish. Make your way to the floor, and we will start with a cat-cow stretch. So in a quadruped position, you're going to exhale and arch your back up like a Halloween cat, and then exhale and sway your back down like a cow, and your face is forward. And just repeat that at your own speed. Arching up and swaying down. If you're using a chair, you can put your hands on the chair and do the same thing. When you're arching up, you're going to want to bend your knees a little bit, and then you can straighten them whenever you sway down into the cow position. You can also do this at the back of the chair if you aren't able to bend over quite that far. Once again, you will bend your knees as you arch up and then straighten them a little bit as you sway back down. And as we finish the cat-cow, we're going to move into some donkey kicks to work our glutes and our hamstrings. And so staying in quadruped, you're going to raise the sole of your foot up towards the ceiling and then pulse it up 3 times closer to the ceiling, and then switch sides. You want to keep the movement in your hip as much as possible instead of moving into the spine. With the chair, same thing. You can put your hands on the chair and bring the sole of your foot up towards the ceiling and pulse upwards 3 times and switch sides. You can hold on to the back of the chair as well. This one, the sole of the foot isn't quite going up to the ceiling because of the angle. It's kind of more where the wall and the ceiling meet, but it's the same movement and keeping it in the hip as much as possible. And when you have finished the donkey kicks, we're just going to move back into a child's pose, sitting on our feet, relaxing our back down, extending the arms, and feeling a nice stretch through our back. You can hold on to the back of the chair and do a mini squat, keeping your back slightly rounded. You can hold on to the seat of the chair, do the same sort of movement, keeping the head slightly dropped and rounding the back. If you need to sit, you can slide your hands down your shins and round over that way, stretching your back. Coming up out of the child's pose, we're going to turn around and lay on our back. And bend your knees and bring your feet kind of close to your bottom. And we're going to be doing a bridge. So you want to pull your belly button towards your spine, squeeze your glutes, and press your heels into the floor and raise your hips up. And then as you lower down, roll through your spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, starting from the shoulders, rolling down through the spine. Your tailbone will be the last thing to touch. If you're doing this in the chair, you can put your hands towards the back of the chair and raise your bottom up off the chair, having a straight line between your shoulders and your knees. Make sure that your feet are on a non-slip surface. You can also hold on to the back of the chair, doing a mini squat, and then as you come up, squeeze the glutes a little bit and open your chest up towards the ceiling. You don't want to be really pulling on the chair, just using it for balance. Raising your hips up off the floor, a straight line between your shoulders and your knees, and then roll down through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. So now we're going to stretch those glute muscles. We're going to do a figure 4 stretch, and you'll cross your ankle over the opposite knee and reach through and hold on to that knee. And you can stay with your shoulders slightly elevated off the floor, with a little bit of space between your chin and your chest, like you're holding an orange, or you can lay all the way flat. And then pull the knee across with the opposite hand, get a little extra stretch, and then switch side. Crossing your ankle over the opposite knee, reaching through, and pulling that knee towards your chest. And then pull across the opposite knee, get a nice extra stretch. In the chair, you'll be doing the same thing, just cross and then lean forward. And then reach across with the opposite hands and give a little extra stretch, pulling on that knee and a slight twist in the waist. And then switch sides. Same thing, cross your ankle over your knee, lean forward, rounded. Feel that nice stretch in your glute. And then coming up, reaching across with the opposite hand and giving a little extra stretch while twisting through the waist. We're now moving into a single leg hold. So you're going to reach up, pull your knee towards your chest and holding the ankle and extending the opposite leg. So the inside ankle, the opposite arm is holding it. You can keep your head up off the mat, keeping space between your chin and chest. You can also lay flat if you need to. This is a little bit like the bicycle exercise, but it's got an extension in the opposite leg. Sitting in the chair, you can do the same thing. Round your back a little bit, pull your belly button in towards your spine, and pick up your knee towards your chest and extend the opposite leg and alternate. We're moving now into a dead bug. You can put your hands under your hips and bring your knees to a tabletop position and tap your toes on the mat, alternating feet. Make sure that you're scooping your belly button in towards your spine. You can bring your head up off of the mat, gently holding behind. Don't pull on your neck though, you're just supporting it. Sitting in the chair, you can do the same thing. Scoop the belly button in towards the spine and lift your legs and alternate tapping your toes. Make sure to keep that core strong. You can also put one foot flat and alternate tapping toes that way as well if you need to have a little bit of a modification. You can do this with your arms extended or holding onto the chair. Coming out of the dead bug, we're going to go into just a long stretch. Really extend your hands and your feet away from each other. Relax down into the floor. And then reach each side, expanding each side, lengthening and alternating, pulling your arm farther away from your foot. You can do the same thing in the chair, sitting on the edge of the chair and reaching, or sitting up straight and simply reaching up towards the ceiling with your arm and stretching your side. You can also do this standing and using the chair for balance. So a long stretch through your side, reaching for the ceiling or for the wall behind you. Now roll to your side and then all the way over onto your stomach. And we're going to go into a Sphinx pose. And so your upper body is raised off the mat and your weight is supported on your forearms. And just pull a little bit forward with your chest by pulling on the floor. You can also do this with the chair, keeping your glutes and your abs nice and strong and engaged, and then open your chest up to the ceiling. From here, pull back into quadruped and then extend one leg for a pigeon pose. I'm comfortable having my leg just bent underneath me. Some people like to rotate it out. So whatever works for you, but the back leg is extended and the front of the hip is being stretched. You can get a little extra stretch if you need it, tucking your toes under and extending your leg, straightening your knee. Keeping your chest lifted and your face forward. And then switch sides. Extend that leg out. Feel that nice stretch in the front of the hip. Now on a chair, you can scoot over to the edge so that just one side of your bottom is on the chair, and extend that outside leg and get that same stretch in the front of the hip. And reach over to the opposite knee with your hand and then hold onto the chair on the side. And then switch sides, scooting over to the other side of the chair, the other edge, and extend the outside leg with the opposite hand on the inside knee. Coming out of the pigeon pose, press your toes against the floor to bring your knee in. And we're going to shift to a cross-legged seated position. And then just lean forward, stretching out the back. And then round your back, curve your back over. And then walk your hands over to one side, stretch your side a little bit. And after a few counts, bring them back to center. And then walk them out to the opposite side and hold that for a few counts. Go at your own pace, whatever is comfortable. And then coming back to center, come up, and you will switch feet so that the other leg is in front, and you'll do the same thing. Rounding over, and then switching your hands side to side. You can do the same thing in the chair. Slide your hands down your shin and round your back over. And then walking your hands to the side stretch. And switching sides. Coming back to center and coming back up. And whenever you have finished, simply turn onto your knees, tuck your toes under, and push your weight onto your feet, and gently come up to a standing position.
Thank you for dancing with me. I hope you felt strong and beautiful.